We love our books, or yeah, a librarian, exactly. No, did I say that right? I always get into trouble because I say, I don't get into trouble, but my mother taught me to say library instead of library. So until one of my friends said, "Oh, I've never met a librarian before." But you all know that I have my fun with words anyways. So good morning, everyone. And just again I didn't introduce myself. I realized this morning, I think I was a little flustered. And I realized that I changed the order of service on everybody. And here we are doing whatever we do as usual, being in that human, what is it? Our second noble truth? I'm spirit having this human experience. Yes, thank you very much. Does anybody remember our first noble truth? One thing. God is all there is. That is right. And what about our third one? Right, Judy. Yes. And then our fourth one is that we're here to walk each other home. Thank you. So today I am Reverend Tamara, because I said I would introduce myself for anybody new here, and I forgot to do that again. But our name of the talk this week was in Wholeness, Enriching the World. And I was really working through this talk, and I'm like, it's not settling in with me. I don't know what it is. I worked with it on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, this morning at 5 a.m. And then I was like, it's still not sitting with me. But there's a quote in it that sparked me. And it is, the spark which burns at the center of our own soul is caught from the living eternal flame of spirit. And that is Ernest Holmes, page 414 on Science of Mind. The spark which burns at the center of our own soul is caught from the living and eternal flame of spirit. And so I was thinking about, what is it that I want to talk about today, and where are people at? This whole month, the theme for our global theme has been about wholeness. And I was thinking about wholeness and Christmas season and everything that's coming up. And I realized that I was getting pulled out of my center. I was having to go to, yesterday alone, I had 4 events. And I'm like, okay, not that I'm really popular, it's not anything. It's like, you know how everything just happens all on the same day. But the thing is, I'm realizing, okay, where do I take my time to nourish back in this busy season? Where do I return to my wholeness? Where do I return to that center? And what is that about? So of course, what did I do? I listened to Dr. Edward this morning. He was our previous Center for Spiritual Living overall CEO, I guess. What do you call it? Yeah. So I was listening to him this morning, and he told a story, and I thought was really brilliant, because I could see myself in that story, not the exact story, but he talked about how a while ago he'd lent somebody a bunch of money. And he didn't worry about it, because he knows that when he lends people money, that he just knows that it will get paid back and that it'll be fine. So he just left it to be. And sure enough, he thought about it once in a while, but he knew and he trusted. So then what happened is the person he lent the money to, finally, this was after several months, came up to him and was so excited because he was able to pay back the loan. And so he was thrilled with this. So what he did, because he was so excited, he went to the bank and he took out cash. And it wasn't a small amount of money. It was a large amount of money. So he gave Dr. Edward this bundle of cash, and Dr. Edward promptly put it in his pocket, in his wallet, and he went to his favorite clothing store straight away. And he was out shopping, and he didn't end up buying anything. But then he went back to the center because he had some work to do, and he realized he didn't have his wallet with him. Yeah, exactly. So he went back rushing to the store, and the manager was there. He went up to him, and the manager deadpan said to him, he said, Edward said to him, I was here a while ago. I think I dropped my wallet. Did anybody, find it? And the manager said, we've been waiting for you. Very deadpan, very So he gave him back, and everything in the wallet was perfect. Nothing had been touched, anything with that. But what the story was really brought out to me was that way that he went through those emotions. First, he had lent all the money, and he was a bit nervous and hesitant about it. Then he got it back, and then he went up to elation. Yes, I have all this money again. And then he lost all the money again. So then it was like, then he was dejected, but then he went back into it. So he realized that his emotions were going up and down like this throughout this time. And so with the idea of wholeness, of our center, our being, he said, how could he bring himself more into center? And that's what I started thinking about. Okay, so how do we do this in this busy time of maybe 3 parties here, 2 parties tomorrow, getting all the right Christmas presents, getting the tree up, making sure that you get to visit everybody that you want to visit. So how do we do that? So we go back to that place of knowing that truth, that first noble truth. There is only one thing. And that thing is divine. That thing is each of you in action. It is expressing in, through, and as you right here, right now. So what do we do with that is, Dr. Edwards suggested, why don't you take a breath? When we start to get that busy monkey mind, just that breathing in, but not just the little breath, but the big breath. And then pause. And then let it out. Does anybody feel their body just kind of go? Then he suggested that you do it again. So that big in-breath, and hold it. And this time think about love, or whatever word it is, beauty for you. And let it go. Again, I don't know if anybody feels a little difference in their body. And then he said, okay, let's do it one more time. 3's a charm, right? So that big breath in, hold it at the top, and now say to yourself, I am whole, perfect, and complete. Right there. That's the spot. That's the spot that helps us bring us back to center. Okay, I'm crying up here looking at all your beautiful faces right now. And I'm just like, okay, my job is done today. So it's when we can bring ourselves to center and not get so caught up in the overwhelm. I started looking at Brene Brown, overwhelm, but it's how do I move through it? And to that last part when Dr. Edwards said, know that you're whole, perfect, and complete. And I'm like, well, how can I know that? Because that's not true. Right? But it's those thoughts. We know that as a spiritual human being, we know that we are whole, perfect, and complete. And yet, there's this other side of our brain that goes, really? Do you remember what you said to that person last week? Oh, did you remember you forgot that person's name? Oh, do you remember that you swore when you stubbed your toe? Whatever it is, those little things for each of us that we do. So again, going back to that breath and knowing that there's always that place. And it was funny today when I was getting dressed, and I was, because I like to coordinate, like Georgia, who's our beautiful, always coordinates herself. So I had some jewelry on, and I saw this heart I hadn't worn for a while, and I'm like, yes, I'm having a change of heart. I'm having a change of heart today about how I'm going to treat myself, about how I'm going to treat others coming into this busy season, I can stop the busyness and the crazy commercialness about, I'm one of those wacky moms, but that for Christmas morning, we all have to have matching pajamas. Yeah, I know, we got to do it. It is so fun. But this year I couldn't find, my daughter found pajamas that she loved for her and her brother. So we got those pajamas. So I've been searching for weeks now to find pajamas for myself, my mom, and my husband that will coordinate. So that, Christmas morning we're going to have that thing. And then it was finally like, you know what? After 3 weeks of shopping, the bay, you name it, everywhere I could go. And I finally went, you know what? I just have to let it go. This is just crazy making in the moment. And I'm adding extra stress to myself that I don't need to do. So, of course, my lovely daughter goes shopping yesterday. She goes, Mom, you won't believe it. She found the perfect pajamas that will match. So I was like, see, as soon as I turned it over and I let go of that expectation of the thing that I needed to do, that thing that I was shitting all over myself about, that this is, well, I've done this in the past and we've done it for the last so many years, but is letting that be. So then I was thinking, okay, so letting go. So I can breathe, I can surrender, let things go. And then I was talking to a friend of mine, another minister, and I said, well, how there's that thought again sometimes that comes up that I'm not whole, perfect, and complete, or I feel my emotions overtake everything, like I'm feeling guilty, or I'm feeling sad, or I'm feeling whatever it is. And he reminded me, he said, do you remember in a class you and I talked about that he wasn't really interested in what I feel? He said, I'm interested in what you know and what you think. Because he said, our feelings can be transitionary, right? I can be over here and I can be all happy, but one little thing can trigger me and I'm way over here and I'm, oh my gosh, how am I going to deal with this today? So he said, where it is going back to that center point. Again, through the breath, through spiritual practice, is getting there and bringing myself back to center. Because I can swing, right? There's that pendulum. I can swing over here, I can swing over there, but where do I get back? And it's not that I'm always going to be in balance. I know as a spiritual, enlightened person, maybe that I'm not, that I am, that I try and think that I always need to be in balance. But the thing is, that isn't always the way life works. Things happen that pull us out. But it's how quickly can I get back? How quickly can I move back into that space? So another thing I'm going to teach you today for helping calm our nerves and win all the anxiety. This is a little trick I learned through a person I work with who did some energy, but it's all about regulating our nervous system. So you can clip your two thumbs together and you can place them on your chest. I'm hoping people on Zoom can see me. Yes, it looks like they can. But you can just slowly lift one hand up and then one hand down and then the other hand up and the other hand down. And just continue to do that slowly. Just really go almost so painfully slow that you're like, what the heck is she having me do? But just go slow and just allow it. So now I do this when I'm driving, but not here, not like this, but no, I do it on the steering wheel. Because what this is doing the left and the right is regulating my nervous system. And when I'm sitting in meetings or I'm sitting at my desk working, I do it with my feet. Because then that keeps me grounded, it keeps me centered. And so those are 3 different ways that you can help regulate your nervous system when we're in this busy space. And that brings me back to center, when I can just take that moment and regulate. And it's so important to do. Oh, look at that, it's 11:11. That's suspicious. So when we were talking about that, going back and regulating and knowing that when we come back to our spiritual practice, and my friend reminded me of the story. He goes, remember the joke I told you about the cab driver taking, I said, can you take me, how do I get to Carnegie Hall? And he goes, practice, practice, practice. But that's what we're here doing together. As a spiritual community, we're doing our spiritual practice. And we come to be in community to remind ourselves to be back, that last piece of our tenet, that walking each other home. So what else did I have wanted to say? Because, I'm just changing everything all up today. Oh, I found a great quote from Deepak Chopra. He said, if you restore balance in your own self, you will be contributing immensely to the healing of the world. So even if we just find that balance within ourselves for a few moments, we are contributing to that energy of the world. Isn't that a beautiful thought? Just knowing that we're there. And I liked what Ralph Waldo Emerson said too. He said, every person is an inlet and may become an outlet to all there is in God. Every person is an inlet and may become an outlet. And isn't that what Ernest Holmes says when he says that God or the divine, the universe, whatever the word that you like to use, is operating right now in, through, and as us? And when we have that faith and we lean into the faith of the one, of that divine, of knowing that we are whole, perfect, and complete, that is when the shift starts to happen. When that pendulum may swing, but we come back to that middle a little quicker. We come back a little quicker. And maybe when your husband says something annoying, you're not so annoyed. Or poor Tony gets thrown under the bus all the time, eh, Ranj? So what I really wanted to hit home is that amid all the world of chaos and the holiday season that can throw us into overwhelm, that we can take this time to center ourselves and breathe and know that we are whole, perfect, and complete, and that nothing outside of us needs to change for us to be happy. And yet, not allowing that perfect pajama bottoms that can't be found to throw us off. It's okay. It doesn't have to look. So it brought me to that whole thing about expectation. So where I get thrown off again is when I'm starting to expect things to go a certain way. I want my brother to behave this way. I want my mom to do this. I want my dad to do that. And please, my dear son Jaden, just show up this way, right? But when I can let go of that and I can let them all be authentically who they are, then I'm showing up authentically who I am, that gives us all permission to enjoy each other a little more. It gives us that permission to be who we are and let go of those judgments. I really enjoyed our forgiveness class that we just did it was too short, of course, but it was really great reminder on, we talked one week about non-judgment, about how easy it is that something happens, we either judge it good or bad. We judge it this or that. And it's letting go of that duality, letting go of that this or that. It's both and. Yes, I can be grumpy and I can be happy at the same time. And I know that seems an oxymoron, but it's when I know that intention for what I really want, when I have that guiding purpose of what is it that I want? I want to have fabulous relationships with my family. I want to have close relationships with my friends and enjoy showing up to parties that I get invited to. So when I can keep myself in that space and regulate, breathe, meditate, and don't forget, my favorite one, affirmative prayer, when I remember to do that, that is when I can come back. So I'm going to leave you with one last poem from one of my favorite, Mary Oliver. And I thought it was kind of a fitting way to end off today. It is called The Gift. Be still, my soul, and steadfast. Earth and heaven both are still watching, though time is draining from the clock. And your walk, that was confident and quick, has now become slow. So be slow if you must, but let the heart still play its true part. Love still as once you loved, deeply and without patience. Let God and the world know you are grateful that the gift has been given. The gift has been given. So I hope I've given you a couple tools for this next busy week right before Christmas, and that each of you will take those and use them throughout. But I'll end with my favorite then, the affirmative prayer or spiritual mind treatment. So knowing that there is one life, one love, one universal divine mind that is operating right here, right now, in, through, in each of us. Knowing that as I speak this word today, that I am whole, perfect, and complete, as I know each person here is. I let go of those negative thoughts, those ideas that I am not worthy, I am not perfect, I'm not any of those things, but know that truth for myself, and I know it for each of you, that you are whole. There is no duality. You are one with that divine. As I have the faith in God, I have the faith in each of you, knowing that it is all perfect. So today I claim the joy and the love and the wonder and the awe of the season. I allow what was meant to be. I let go of the expectation, I let go of the judgment, and I just sink into that place of centeredness, of being grounded. So as I breathe in and know that I am connected to that indwelling spirit, to that spark that was taken from the eternal flame, I fan it, I allow it to grow within me, as I know each of you allow it to grow within you. So I'm so grateful for this day, for this opportunity of community, this time together. I let it go, I let it be, and ask you to join me in saying, and so it is.